In Anambra State, the governorship election is scheduled for November 8th of this year, with 16 political parties set to compete. The build-up to the election has been turbulent following allegations of electoral malpractice during a recent by-election in the Anambra South senatorial zone. Now, the APC's media director, Chidu Obidu, who appeared on Arise TV earlier, expressed frustration over the violence, intimidation, and militia involvement, particularly by the Udogachi men, allegedly backed by the deputy governor of Anambra State. He criticized law enforcement for failing to uphold election rules and called for a review of the by-election results.
What we had, it was so surprising that we had the non-state actors intimidating people, getting people to do their bidding for another party which they had interest in, talking about clearly All Progressive Grand Alliance, intimidating people, arresting people. In fact, it was as if there was war in Anambra State. And you see, this was anticipated before they set up this non-state actor called Udogachi in Anambra State. People suspected that what the governor wanted to use that outfit to do was for the purpose of election. And it became so clear. The day before, we saw them warming up, showing force. But people were expecting that given the rules that were laid out by the AIG Godwin Eze, that we weren't going to have that kind of a situation. But it was so bad to the extent that the APC candidate for Anambra South senatorial election, who is from Orifite, was besieged in his house. He was held hostage by these non-state actors, Udogachi. In fact, he didn't have the opportunity to exercise his civic right. He couldn't even step out to vote. That was that. And then you had people being harassed by these non-state actors, insisting that they must vote for.
Well, in response to the claims of the APC's media director, Chidu Obidu, the Commissioner for Information in Anambra State, Dr. Law Mefor, joins us now for his take on these allegations. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Let me allow you to respond to some of these allegations that were alleged in the previous soundbite and in publications.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to respond to some of these wild allegations. First and foremost, it's important to put some of these things in their right perspective. The last two Saturdays by-elections in Anambra South Senatorial District and Onitsha North Constituency 1 should be seen as one of the best election that INEC has conducted. And best in the sense that it was peaceful, it was transparent, it was credible, and the election security was near perfect. First and foremost, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Godwin Eze, who took charge of election duties and election security, first and foremost, made it very clear that the local vigilante that we call Operation Udogachi and Agune Chamber would not be part of the election security. And this directive he enforced to the letter. So it is strange to hear that there were cases of intimidation, arrests, and harassment by Agune Chamber and the Operation Udogachi. That didn't happen. And also said he was even under the supervision of the deputy governor. You know, some of these things, this is a political party that brought a disaster onto itself by not allowing a normal democratic process to take place within its own fold. They turned their own governorship primaries into a bazaar, and somebody that is not electable bought their ticket. That is the problem they should go and resolve and see how they can deal with. And they can't even replace their candidate now. But it is clear that APC is not prepared for any election. And before the last two Saturdays election, they boasted that the outcome would ensure that will prove that APC is in charge of Anambra State. The outcomes didn't show any of their claims to be true. If you look at the results of Anambra South, for example, where the ABGA candidate, the senator-elect, Imam Nwachukwu, won by over 90,000 votes. Their candidate came a distant with a vote of about 19,000. If you come to Onitsha North, one constituency, the result is the same. The ABGA candidate, Barrister Mimi Azikiwe, came tops with over 10,000 votes, and their candidate couldn't even put together up to 2,000 votes. So you can see the margin. The margin is huge, showing that indeed, there was no way they could have won the election. And rather than allow ABGA to enjoy its victory, they are putting a kind of, should I say, a question mark on an election that was very, very transparent. Very, very transparent. And I must say also that what happened on that election day is a lesson for the party, a lesson for all of them who hope that they stand a chance come November 8th, when the main governorship election would now take place. You see, they stand no chance. This is a fact. And the just concluded by-elections have proved that beyond all reasonable doubt. So what their spokesman, my friend Chido Obidegu, was trying to say is totally false. And there is no way it could be true. And like I told you, the margin, I just gave you some figures. ABGA won in all the over 100 wards, nearly all the polling units. I think in well over 1,000 polling units. ABGA lost only about 10 or 11 polling units. So you can see that winning almost everywhere, every polling unit, is an indicator that ABGA is on ground here. They earn their lunch. The party is almost a religion here. It's a movement. It's no longer a political party. ABGA is everywhere you turn. And they have a performing governor. Governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwumacha Soludo CFR, is a performing governor. And, because of his performance, he has been able to receive an avalanche of endorsements from practically every group in Anambra State, from market women students to the senatorial districts. Anambra North, Central, and South have all endorsed him. Students in Anambra endorsed him. Only yesterday, the Onitsha and the traders all over Anambra State came together to also endorse him. I'm aware also that non-indigenous are waiting in the wings to endorse him. Every person else has endorsed Soludo. So you can see that because he is running on the strength of his performance, every person is keying in. Nobody wants to be left out of a winning team. Like the Americans would say, if it is not broken, why mend it? That is what is happening in Anambra. That is what has created the bandwagon that ABGA is enjoying here. So those of them who are beginning to realize that they stand no chance whatsoever in this election are beginning to find some stories to tell. They are even blackmailing Agune Chamber and Operation Udogachi, blackmailing the new security architecture put in place by the Solution governor to restore total security to Anambra State. A reputation of being the foremost, the safest state in Nigeria that was lost before Soludo became governor. We are about recovering that status.
Well,
and Operation Udogachi and the Agune Chamber are doing a great job in that direction.
Dr. Mefor.
What is the complaint about?
Yeah,
yes,
Dr.
the election
Mefor.
was free and fair. They lost. They lost the deposit because the party is not on ground and they don't have good candidates.
Well, I want to talk about given the gravity of these allegations, what are the Anambra State government willing to do to support an independent review or an investigation into the conduct of these results in the by-election?
It is not our duty to do that. The election was not an Anambra State election. It was an election organized and conducted, supervised by INEC. And they did a good job. We were not in any way involved in the election beyond fielding some candidates, on the North 1 and the Anambra South Senatorial District. That's our level of involvement. So it is not us that will institute any investigation into the conduct of the election, because we didn't organize the election. We only participated in it. This point is very important. And there is no need even for that, because INEC did an excellent job. You know, when they talk about voter intimidation, how? Where did that happen? It didn't happen. And in this era of citizen journalism, they should be able to give you video evidence of such harassments, intimidations that they lay claim to. Now, it never happened. Yes, there was an attempt to bring in brigandage and thuggery into this. And again, it was by the APC. Their gubernatorial candidate was all over the state, all over Anambra South Senatorial District, with dozens of vehicles loaded with thugs. In fact, he had to be challenged in Ezinifite. Ezinifite, he was there, challenged by the youth there, led by the Ezinifite President General. You know, this is on tape. He was challenged. He is from Osumeni. He is not from Ezinifite. So if he's in Ezinifite and in other communities, and he's complaining that the deputy governor, who is the deputy chief security officer of Anambra State, if he's complaining that he was seen outside his own community, he too went about in Anambra during the election with trucks of thugs. And he had to be challenged.
Well,
you know, and again, I think I need to even point out, just 1 minute.
Okay.
Because somebody says, why should the deputy governor be about? He was exercising his statutory responsibility as the deputy chief security officer of Anambra State. That is what it is. And the elections, either in contemplation or in practice, do not in any way suspend the power and the functions of the governor of a state, especially to oversee security aspect, to be sure that the security is top-notch.
Well, how is the state government, or how can the state government, in collaboration with INEC and any other interested parties as security agencies, work to de-escalate these tensions that are high and ensure that a peaceful process actually plays out come November? And also, what message do you have for the people of Anambra State, the political parties, everyone watching, about the government's commitment to a free, fair, and credible election coming November?
You know, thank you for that question. You see, Anambra is governed by a very decent man. Professor Soludo will never close the democratic space. Democracy is an open space in Anambra State, and people are free. Security is restored, and the candidates are campaigning all over Anambra State. If there is a palpable insecurity, there won't be freedom to campaign. They are campaigning everywhere. And they have nothing to fear from Agune Chamber of Pressure Udogachi, as long as they are going about their campaign under the ambience of the law, without creating a problem or bringing about thuggery and all manner of things that many of them tried to bring on during the by-elections. It's open. Anambra is a very free and open society, because the governor himself he is a decent man and will not be the one that will shut or narrow the democratic space. No, he wouldn't. He has never done that and will never do that. You know, so the allegation that Agune Chamber of Pressure Udogachi tried to muzzle voters, they are trying to even indict the police. the AIG made sure that they didn't participate in the election. They didn't. So, and the November 8th election, I'm sure they too, with the fact that there is no need for them to participate. Election security has always been a statutory responsibility of the Nigeria Police Force. They call in who they want. The Army, the Civil Defense, the DSS, they bring in who they want. Essentially, the modern security agency is the Nigeria Police Force. They are in charge of election security. They were in charge of it during the by-elections, and they will be in charge of election security again during the November 8th gubernatorial election. What I would advise, those who are trying to blackmail Operation Udogachi and Agune Chamber is to really face their campaign. They are up against very serious candidates. Apart from the towering credentials of Professor Soludo, he is also a performing governor. So you can see that it's what you may call a dual headwinds that they are confronting, and they are not prepared for it.
Dual
and
headwinds.
Of course, to believe that they are into this election not necessarily to win.
Yes, you're so right.
I don't think they are in this
dual
election
headwinds
to win.
it is.
They
We will certainly watch as it transpires. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Dr. Law Mefor. Thank you for joining us here on News Day.